All right. Uh okay. Now guys, welcome to another episode of True Bench, where we talk football generally. EPL, other leagues, international football, everything you get here. We have a new guest and we'll let him tell us his name. First name is good. We go first name basis here. And you can tell us the club you support, how long you've been supporting the club, and why you keep supporting the club, despite all the challenges.
Wow, what an introduction. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. My name is Seun, and I support Arsenal. I've been supporting Arsenal since the early 90s. I used to support Go Ahead Eagles, a Dutch team. And then Kano came through and ripped things up in 1993, 96. And yeah, he joined Arsenal. So ever since I've been supporting Arsenal. So almost 30 years now. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. Kano
Yeah.
needs to be getting subscription fees from all you guys because I think it took majority of Nigerians to Arsenal, and people have been
So,
loyal ever since. It's impressive. Yeah,
yeah,
very impressive. Yeah, Suki, welcome again. I
absolutely.
don't know if you have anything to say before we dive into the conversation today.
I have something to say. Today is the first time I'm coming to this show a happy man.
Because man, you won, right? I get it.
Yes,
Especially at my
finally.
expense, right? So we'll get to it. We'll get to
Honestly, I didn't even care who the opponent
it.
was. I just made that.
Wow. All right. All
Yeah.
right. Good.
So
Good. Good.
I'm happy.
So another weekend, 10 games. Let's just go around the field and talk about, you know, uh one or two clubs that caught your interest, were impressive this weekend. The coach that you really thought made a difference, and maybe one or two players that you thought stood out this weekend. I'll start. I saw the Sunderland Aston Villa game, and I would say I was impressed by Sunderland. I know Suki has been mentioning Sunderland in the last few episodes that we had,
Mhm.
and they lived up to that hype this weekend, especially given that one of their good players, one of the standout players this season, Ronaldo, got a red card. His fault. He got that red card, but the team they didn't cave. I mean, they stood up. They went. They considered a goal, but they got back and they got the equalizer. So I was
Mhm.
very impressed by the spirit, the willingness to still get a positive result even after going down to 10 men. It was impressive for the coach. I like Marco Silva a lot this weekend. Fulham they were
Oh,
outstanding.
oh,
They were just
oh
solid.
my
I mean
goodness.
that is a match I can watch over and over again. Impressive display. And we'll talk about our team of the week, but I was just impressed by what his team did over the weekend. And if there's any player that caught my attention, like we didn't know, Gravenberg was very good. I mean, he showed class throughout that game, especially in the first half. Um, Talk about his goal, the way he took it, the assist for the second goal. It was just an all-round performer. I think it was a standout player for me this weekend. Let's go to you guys. Maybe Sean first, and then we'll go to Suki.
Well,
Yeah,
for me, well, so yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
Being our
yeah.
guest, you can
So
go first.
yeah, for me, I have to agree with Suki, and I have to agree with you as well. Sunderland, they've been super impressive. Um, Getting a red card and going down to 10 men is bad enough. Conceding,
Mm,
a lot of teams don't come back from that, and they manage to get
yeah,
back into the game and get a goal. And if I remember clearly, they came off with a draw, still coming off
yeah,
with a point, right? So yeah, I
yeah.
think it has to be
Yeah.
Sunderland. Um, which player caught my eye? Gravenberch was great, but I think Stack, the German from Leeds, he was a monster
Yeah,
this weekend. He was a serious
it
beast.
was
And
good.
he playing
Yeah,
away
it was good.
exactly at
Yeah.
Wolverhampton, and he performed as if that was his own ground. So he really stood out for me. And you'll find this interesting. But the manager that really impressed me the most is Pep Guardiola. And I'll tell you why. That game, I'll explain to you. That game was a game for Man City to lose. Losing was written all over it. But you see, there's this formation that Guardiola launches when he's playing against Arsenal. This aeroplane business, 4-1-5, pretty much. 4-1-4-1, pretty much having five players attacking and moving at every single time. Unfortunately, De Bruyne is no longer there to ping all those long balls with GPS on them. And it came with the exact same strategy. Typically, when we set out, we want to play Arsenal football, want to play beautiful football and go and press the oppressor. But Arteta learned and he adapted. So a lot of people complain about how Arteta approached the game. I think if we didn't approach the game that way, we're going to be down maybe 2 goals in the first half. Typically, Man City will score 2, 5, 6 against us when we play in that naive manner. I just feel like the way Pep responded in the second half, pulling off a lot of attacking players and throwing in defenders, they could have lost by more than 2 goals, if you ask me. But they ended up holding on to the 1 goal and conceding 1 in the end, it must have been painful. But yeah, I felt like he did something that was so unlike him in order to salvage or to get that 1 point. So yeah, I was quite impressed by him. No pride here, just doing his job and doing what is best for the team, not about what people say about him in the media. So I really respected him for that.
Yeah, flexibility, that's something we lack at Manchester United from a coaching standpoint. I'm sure you all listen to all our manager interviews, all our press conferences. He's always insisting that he's going to do what he wants to do, which I like that flexibility. But for me, team Fulham for sure, Marco Silva, and I'll say the reason why I'm actually going Fulham is because Fulham didn't really bring in too many big players this new season. And so a lot of the old players are still there. And a lot of people didn't focus on Fulham as a team to go and dissemble. You know how you have a team that's doing really well, like Brighton or whatever, you go and take their players, bigger clubs will buy up the players. That didn't happen to them. So it just shows me that he's building a team and it's really coming together. And honestly, if they continue the way they are playing, they will be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, I don't know how long this is going to go for, but he's setting up his team properly. Another team I'm really impressed by is Crystal Palace. Those guys handle their business like business. Losing Eze, I know they lost Olise a couple seasons ago, but the fact that they've lost pretty much almost their best player, and they're still playing the way they play, you won't even know that Eze is gone. And I think that's a laudable thing for them. I'm going to go with the Wobie. This past weekend, it will be on that left wing. He was a monster. It's just I think I'll go with the Wobie for this.
Yeah,
weekend.
thanks, guys. So I agree with all the sentiments and the clubs and the names that were dropped. I'm just quickly on Fulham and Crystal Palace. Yes, you identified potential weaknesses in those teams, especially not getting new players and letting their players go. The problem that those clubs may have this season is how long can they keep going? And when they have major injuries to 1 or 2 of those guys, that team can go from hero to zero very, very quickly. So we
which is what I said. You don't know how
so we
long
have
they'll
to
do
kind
that
of
for.
watch out for that. But let's switch gears a little bit and analyze in depth the 3 matches that we said we're going to review this weekend. This weekend was full of big games, so to speak, and we picked 3 of them. We picked the Merseyside derby, Liverpool Everton. We picked the theatre at Old Trafford, United and Chelsea, which was just full of. I think they need to replay that game. It was too much. It was just too much. And then the
Go
top
on, John, go
game
on.
at Emirates between Arsenal and Man City, and maybe we should start with Arsenal and Man City because I thought that was a top class game. Had a lot of it was like chess sometimes when you were watching it. Who is going to
Mm.
cave next? What is going to happen? Guardiola, Arteta. I thought Arteta made a few mistakes in that game that could have cost them the 3 points, but they recovered and got one. Maybe Sheon can dive into it as a faithful and
Well,
tell us
Well,
what.
we are seeing this trend where we are seeing this trend. Sorry, so we are seeing this trend where Arsenal is playing against big teams, and it's so like the games are so deep. Like it's very very strategic games.
well,
They deal with Man, they deal with City, they deal with Liverpool now with City.
experience is the best teacher,
You know,
right? My opinion is it differs from a lot of Arsenal fans' opinion because a lot of Arsenal fans they were ripping through Arteta for his selection. But that same selection, when we beat Athletic Club 2-0 away from home, nobody complained. It was that same selection, right? My own thing is Pep, he's taught Arteta a lot. We know this. Arteta came in setting up like Pep and playing, like that possession football and whatnot, and trying to press high, press the opposition high. Nobody does it like Pep. Even though I believe this is the worst Man City team I've seen in the Pep era, I still felt like Arsenal should have won that game and comfortably too. But you see, starting Rice and Merino alongside Zubimendi, I understand why. If I was to select a team, I would do the same thing because once you soak up what Man City is bringing for the first 35, 40 minutes with their current squad, it's done. They lose. It's like all the ideas. It's like a boxer coming into the ring with a game plan, and then one bad boost, and they totally forget the strategy. We've gone out to play these guys numerous times. Maybe not in most recent seasons, but Man City has a way of beating us when we've gone on like 20 games unbeaten. They'll just beat us 5-1, 6-0. We tend to concede a lot against them because it's a very intense game and our players just tend to lose their heads and everything just shatters. So go for a solid midfield and win the midfield battle. Now we have guys bigger than Rodri in the midfield. So we're winning the midfield battle. But you see, the formation of 4-1-4-1, you have 5 players running at you suddenly and they hit us on the break. That's the way Man City is set up to beat Arsenal all the time. They'll sit back and then just hit us on the break. So I felt like, he sort of redeemed himself by bringing on creative players to have a go at it and go for a goal. Like if you watch the second half, pretty much Arsenal played that half in Man City's half. So I felt like Man City should have lost even by more than one, maybe even like 3 goals margin. I don't know. But yeah, I understand why Arteta went in to be safe because we can't be losing those games this earlier on in the season. There's still a long way to go. But Arsenal fans, they feel differently. But yeah, I will never start Eze on the left because that's what people were calling for. Never. He's not a left winger. I've seen him operate at number 10 and I know exactly what he's capable of. And everybody saw it that day as well. Martinelli, maybe we just said to that we have 2 impact subs in Martinelli and Trossard, and we still need to buy a starting left winger. I don't know. But Eze, number 10, let Odegaard come and fight for his spot or go and play FA Cup and Champions League if you like. But yeah, I think maybe when we go to Old Trafford, maybe we'll be a little bit more attacking minded. But I feel like I would have done the same thing. Sorry, not Old
can
Trafford.
you
Sorry,
imagine?
Etihad. I love you guys these
So,
days.
so, so if we just to go a bit analytical on that game because I mean, I was on a flight, but I was lucky me. I was able to watch that game because I just felt it was going to be very tactical and very technical.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Arteta got the midfield spot on. I mean, if I have those 3 players, I will use them all the time. Mourinho is very good. Uh, Rice is very reliable. And Zubimendi is coming up to be a creative player that can also shoot.
It's coming
So
in. Yeah,
I don't. I
yeah,
think he got the midfield
yeah.
right. I think where I struggled when I was looking at him was his attack choices. I'm not sure why. First of all, I'm not sure why Trossard started that game. He's not been starting, right? He's coming as an impact sub and he
Mm.
does well. So why change it? And secondly,
Yeah.
Madueke was your best offensive player in the first half. I know Saka was going to
That's
come
true.
in, but why do you take out Madueke? It didn't make sense to me, especially in the second half. Saka, after the first 15 minutes in the second half, moved away from that right side and moved almost to the left. So if you could accommodate Saka on that side of the pitch, why not leave Madueke to continue doing what he was doing? Because he was giving City a lot of problems in that first half. So to me, those were the
True.
strange things. I will start Eze as well if Eze is in my team. I will start Eze all the time when he's available. He's very
All
creative.
day.
He can
All
do short. He
day.
can do long.
Very
He
good.
can be very unpredictable. When Chelsea played Crystal Palace in the last 2 seasons, Eze has always been the problem. Like you will see him and you know that this guy is going to do something
Mm.
unpredictable. So why not give him 70, 80 minutes? Why give him 45 minutes in a game
I,
where you really need to,
I have an
send a
answer.
message to the rest of the league? Yeah.
I have an answer to that question.
I mean, it's very similar. Oh, go ahead.
So, playing Man City, right? If we set out with a different formation and not flat three DMs or three center midfielders, if you like, say if we're playing, 4-1-3-3 or something, some other formation where you can easily accommodate a number 10. That game, there was no plans for number 10 role in that game from the onset. So if you go and look at the formation Arteta came out with and where the players were, was set when the game started, there is no way Eze could have come into that game. And I know that he knows damn well that Eze is not a left winger. If he finds himself on the left, he will do something. If he finds himself on the right, he will do something because he's a very good player, technically sound, and he makes the right decisions as well. So it can do damage from any position pretty much. But with a balanced formation he went for, if Eze was in that mix, that formation would lose its balance. The goal they scored, it was unfortunate. Again, it was on counter, and you saw like pretty much three players running at two players at the back. That was always the plan. And they just caught us off guard. I don't know what happened to Gabriel. He could not run. I know Haaland is very quick, but he couldn't run. But again, if the formation was different, I would start Eze all the time, without a doubt. But not against Man City in that sort of game. Like you said, very technical, strategic, no room for error. One error that we made, and look at the result. So yeah.
I mean, when you look at the tactical setup of that game and what Wale was talking about and their attacking choices, it kind of reminds me of the United Chelsea game. Even I was happy, but even I was confused when he brought off Neto. I was actually really confused when Maresca brought off Neto because he knew that. I mean, post conference, we now know that he knew that Palmer was not 100%. Palmer wanted to play in that game, And then what happened. As far as the red card is concerned, you brought off Esteval. Okay, fair enough. You have to sacrifice a player. Why not bring off Palmer and leave Neto? Why take out Neto and then now Palmer cannot go on and you remove Palmer as well? So that just messed up. I don't know. I mean, I'm a Man fan, and I'm going to be honest here. I don't know that if we had gone to. I mean, the way we started the game, it seemed like we were going to, give Chelsea a run for their money. But at the same time, could we sustain that kind of pressure the entire game? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think Man U is capable of that. Not just yet. So you stifle the creativity of your team by removing those three players. I mean, those three players are key to creativity as far as Chelsea is concerned. So one went down to 10 men. One went down to 10 men. Where you could have done damage, it was mostly now Reece James and João Pedro And Pedro is not really a creative player. He had to now step into that creative, and then you saw that the goal came from Rhys James. If Rhys James, I mean, he had to play really, really, really well on Saturday against Man U. If not, you would have considered Chelsea would have considered more goals, and you would have done nothing going forward, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So it's a
So
good way for us to go into the review of that match, and I'm glad you're asking those questions. I think that first of all we have to understand that, and I saw it this weekend in action. A red card to a goalkeeper is very different from a red card to an infield player, and the way the manager will react. Sunderland was able to adjust without making too much changes to their formation because it was an infield player that got when a
yeah,
goalkeeper is sent off, it's almost like losing. In fact, it's not almost. You are going to lose two players in your starting lineup and your formation, and that will cause a lot of problem. Sanchez came out, another keeper has to come in, and then another player in the starting 11 has to. It was Esteval has to come out, and then you're thinking, what formation am I deploying with this new set of players on the field?
yeah,
I thought Maresca went into a panic mode by removing Neto.
yeah,
In fact, you could see that Neto was obviously hungry. That why am I being taken out of this game?
yeah,
It doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
But again, he took out Neto because he wanted to keep Cole Palmer on the field, and with one man down, Palmer is not effective even at 100% because he's not going to do the run for you. It's not going to shoot. I mean, what Palmer has is his creativity and the way he can think very quick, much quicker
Yeah.
than other players. Losing a player in that setup, and that, let's be honest, that rain was a menace. You could argue it was for both. It was for both
Oh, the
teams,
game was
but
horrible.
it was
It
it
was
was it
horrible.
was almost
Both
as if it
teams
was
were horrible.
disturbing Chelsea much more than as Man U on the day. I don't know how, but honestly, I think it's a game that I want to forget. I thought for some minute that towards the end, especially when Casemiro got the red card, that maybe we could get a draw from that. But just like you said, there wasn't just enough creativity to unlock another goal in that match. Even though United started making a lot of silly mistakes, and they were kind of shake. The whole stadium was kind of in
Typical.
panic mode,
I was nervous.
and
I
you
was
could sense it that. Best game
nervous.
I've seen Rhys James play in a while. It was outstanding. It was outstanding in that
Yeah.
in that game. But the end product, nobody in the box to put the ball in the net and all that. But again, we move. And then the last game,
Jackson was
I'm
still
not I'm not sure. I'm not sure Jackson would have made any difference. Let's be honest. I don't
I
think
think it
so.
would have actually, because Jackson is like two
You
players.
think so?
Yeah, I mean, no,
I
no,
don't know.
you don't
Because
have any
what you
player that has
needed,
as much
what we
energy.
needed in that game what we needed in that game was, and I think João Pedro offered a bit of it, was a striker who could use his head, his chest, everything that comes out. But he was tired too. He was tired
playing for
too.
himself.
He started running from
He
the
was
first
trying
minute.
the ball for midfield.
Yeah, it was
The ball
tired.
for
So
midfield.
I mean, 3 points lost, but again, it was a good game. We'll see what happens next weekend.
Quickly before we close out on this, I was talking to a friend of mine who is an Arsenal fan just when the game started, and I was complaining to him. I was like, why is he starting Casemiro in this game where Chelsea have youthful blood? Why are you starting Casemiro in this kind of game? We need legs in the midfield. You need legs, not. And my friend was telling me, oh no, I'm like, no, I'd rather Kobe Meno in that game
He
than
doesn't want to play
Casemiro.
for you anymore.
And then Casemiro now went on to score. And he's like, it's your words. I'm like, no, I'm not eating my words.
He got
Not too
that
long
red
after
card.
he got the
Yeah,
red card, I'm
yeah.
like, oh, there you
And it was the lack of pace and lack of leg that cost it. So you're right. Yeah,
go. Yes,
absolutely.
and that's what's it.
I think he just
So
had a
let's
moment
let's
of
talk quickly,
madness.
very very quickly about the Liverpool Everton game. I mean, a lot of us predicted that Liverpool was going to win that game. What I didn't see, in fact, when that game started and Liverpool went up two goals in the first like 15, 20 minutes, I said this is going to be a rout. I said Everton would be embarrassed today. But that didn't happen because in the second half, Everton could have come back and taking a point from that game.
Yeah,
So
at least a
kudos to
point.
Moyes
Yeah,
for changing things around, especially when they took out Beto and brought the new
yeah,
striker who was helping play and coming
yeah.
deep to assist, and that
Barry.
kind of created something
That's
for
it,
them
yeah.
going forward. I don't know what you guys thought about that game, but I thought Everton showed that they could compete against the very best in the league.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, when you go against that kind of firepower and you concede 2 goals early, most teams will crumble. I know mine will crumble, but they didn't. They came out in the second half. Grealish saw more of the ball, held more of the ball, and I feel like the approach towards the second half, the way he tweaked the formation in the second half, I like the fact that they were not scared. And when they got the first goal, I almost have sworn that they were going to get a second goal. I will almost, but then I knew that there's this thing working against every other team in the Premier League right now, where if you play Liverpool, the last minute they will beat you if you are, that thing going on for Liverpool right
Well,
now. So
everything comes to an
yeah,
end. I think they'll run out of luck at some point. And
Of
we'll be
course.
here to discuss it. I'll gladly return to discuss it because I tell Liverpool fans,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
I tell Liverpool, I say, look, you've spent a lot of money, but you forgot. You can't tell me you've replaced Trent Alexander-Arnold because that's not a replacement. That's just another player to fill that position because they're not the same type of player, right? You bought in Milo Kerkez. I know he's a very good left back, but can he operate along the left with now you're playing Gakpo on the left? Gakpo is not a left winger. But anyway, we'll come back to that. See the defensive line, right? If Konate gets injured, Mene or Van Dijk, suddenly you're gonna start saying Liverpool's
that done,
frailty.
that
He
done,
doesn't need to even get
that
injured.
done.
Van Dijk is peaked a long time ago. He's now on the decline. We can tell it's not the same player that he used to be.
Yeah.
So they'll run out of luck at some point because this last minute, 9 minute things that's been happening, they don't keep a clean sheet, do they? Except against us and now and again. KG game, moment of magic, brilliant free kick from Mr. Zobo. I'll never take anything away from him. But yeah, so they'll run out of luck eventually. I just feel like they've spent a lot, but they haven't really strengthened the team, if you get what I'm trying to say. They've always had goal scorers. Goals always come. But one of the things that made Liverpool was to break them and score. Any team can score against Liverpool these days. And just watch out, keep an eye. As for Everton, I think they're going to do way better than they did last season. I think they're on the up.
Yeah.
Definitely. They're gelling. They've got, some new legs, inclusion of Grealish storming down the left, and Ndiaye turning out to be a revelation. You can go with Beto, you can go with Barry, depending on who you're playing. And what I like to see them come out with a 4-4-2
Well,
as well, because if those two guys are running at your defensive line, I think it's going to be something to something to behold. So yeah, I don't know why managers are afraid of that formation these days, but yeah, they could have. I thought they could have even won the game, to be honest. But I feel like that Merseyside derby, Everton pretty much lose the game before they step on the pitch. I think it's more of a mental thing as opposed to performance on the day. So yeah.
There's a very, very well
I think
said.
Keke the bomb with it explode.
No. I mean, I think we'll
I don't
leave
think-
it there because we are running out of time, and we still need to get to
Yeah,
many
yeah.
more things. So in the Premier League, there are always controversial decisions every weekend. This weekend, not too many, I would admit, but there's just a few that I want us to touch on and move very quickly. There was the Sanchez red card. Is there any doubt about that?
No, that
I
was
thought
a
it
red
was
No
card.
red. I
doubt.
thought it was
No
red.
No, that
doubt.
was a red
No
card.
doubt.
That was a red
I
card.
like the way the
That was a red
referee
card.
gave himself a few seconds to think about it. But but I
Seconds
thought
to
it was
think
a
about
clear
it.
red. Shield, you agree, right?
They didn't have a choice.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
they had a choice.
definitely. It was a straight red, no doubt.
Yeah, straight right. Chelsea had a penalty shout in that first half. There was a case against João Pedro. I see Sukkie saying no. But in another game, another referee will point to the penalty spot and it will not be overturned.
Well, yeah, that's why VR
The
is there.
VAR will not overturn it either way. Yeah,
We will not
yeah,
look at
VAR has failed
yeah,
unless I
yeah.
want
failed me on
to.
many occasions. Leave VAR. It's still down. Look, humans still make that decision, and that margin for error is still very large. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, thirdly, the Ronaldo red card against Aston Villa. I thought that was straightforward as well. I thought they need to ban the guy for 3 games. It was very stupid.
maybe 5.
Um,
He
yeah,
went in with 2 legs. 2 legs.
yeah.
I mean, come
I
on.
thought
Yeah.
he let his team
He
down.
went in with 2 legs.
It was very silly. And then there was
I
this
don't like
tussle
that. Yeah.
between Trossard and Bernardo Silva in that game when they were throwing the ball at each other. I think that there should have been 2 yellow cards for the two of them, and Silva should have been sent
For
out.
sure.
What do you? I'd like to
Definitely.
hear from
Yeah,
Chio because an
absolutely.
Arsenal
I
fan is
agree.
thinking he should go out.
I was actually celebrating because I knew like okay, it's gone. Let's have some space to actually do something and I pray, And then to my surprise, wow, definitely.
No
Imagine
yellow
that.
card.
You know
No.
what? I have to give it to the ref because for him to keep his cool and even deny us the opportunity with his big chest, I have to clap for him because what some referees tend to do as well, when they're officiating matches that are too big for them, you see them literally crumble, lose control, and just mess things up, right? Let's say Sanchez wasn't the last man, right? And it was out of the box and he, made that tackle. A very experienced ref would think, Man U versus Chelsea. Let me not spoil this game.
Yeah,
Yellow card.
yeah,
Last warning.
yeah,
Last
4
warning.
minutes.
4 minutes
4
in.
minutes in.
Do you
Yeah.
understand where I'm coming from?
yeah, yeah.
But maybe a less experienced referee would say, I'm going to give the card anyway and send him off, right? And spoil the game. And then you see at that point, people start walking out of the stadium. Even me, I just switch the channel because I really don't like first 10 minutes. Why is somebody getting a red card? It gets to me. But if it's a red card, it's a red card. Definitely, Bernardo Silva should have been on second yellow and it should have been off. 100%. And that's
And
not just because I'm an
the
Arsenal
last
fan.
thing to add to that was that Bernardo Silva was so stupid. He was arguing with the referee for an extended period of time that if the referee didn't
Dissent.
even want to give you the yellow, you were
That
asking
should have
for it.
been a red yellow
I'm
card.
like, why are players so stupid?
Yeah, you can't.
Or maybe he was
Well,
using reverse psychology for the referee. I don't know.
All I heard him say to the referee is, please give me a card
yeah,
now. I
yeah.
deserve it.
Well, they're human and they're young too, so the occasion got
Yeah,
to him clearly. We're
yeah.
thinking of what's your Man U bros that got a red card. We're looking at him like a senior boy.
Casemiro.
He's young as well.
Yeah.
It made to me that was just immature. He just lost his head momentarily for half a second, and that cost him. So yeah, we see that happening a lot.
I don't think it was a second yellow card, if you
I
ask
know.
me.
I
But
thought
hey,
it
what
was a
do I know?
straight. It was a second yellow card, no doubt
I
about
didn't
it.
think it was, to be honest with you. But you can't look.
Oh,
You've
guys,
been
come
towing.
on, guys. We've seen that in the
You've
The
been
game.
towing a very thin line. You
Santos
shouldn't do
that he
that.
was marking is a young player, but he showed a bit of experience. He sold that to the referee. He sold it well because he was raising his hand. He was
I
like,
mean, when
You will give it.
Yeah.
You will give
yeah,
it.
I mean, come on.
He even baited him into the challenge as well. He
Yeah,
literally was
you
looking
will
for
give
him to
it.
get tackled
So
so he
yeah,
can. So yeah,
that's what it
for
was.
me,
They were all chasing all our players. They wanted the red card. They needed that red card.
I can't wait for another match against United this season. That's just me, but let's see. Let's see what happens.
Win again,
it'll be a different game.
I mean, it's what we do. I mean, they haven't won any game in Old Trafford. Their last 12 games, they haven't won any game. I mean, come
Yeah,
on,
in
Oh,
my
let's move on. Let's
prediction
move on. Let's move on.
for
Let's
that
move on. Let's
game,
move
I'd mentioned that whenever it comes to Chelsea, Man U goes on another gear. So I wasn't surprised that, especially the first 5 minutes. I
Yeah,
mean,
you're right.
Maresca needs to learn how to
on.
start games. The first 5 minutes, they were going to kill him. It was
It was
bad.
mad.
Did you see the opening weekend? The opening weekend for this season, Man U Arsenal. Did you see what Man U were? Did you see what they were playing? I started
I don't know what
panicking.
is
I was telling
going
people that this team is going to be dangerous this season. Like this team, just wait, let the new players, gel and settle in. They are going to be what? Are they back? I think they are back. Oh. But yeah, it turned out to be smoke.
No, it was just-
All right. Let me quickly run through the team of the week, the players that we put together, and I want you guys to quickly react to it. If you think there's any omission or players that we included that shouldn't have been there, I mean, let's quickly talk about it. In goal, Dubravka, many saves in that game, and he preserved the 1-1 for game. I
I
mean, the
agree.
1-1 result for his team. Martin Cash on the right side, he scored that nice
Beautiful
goal
strike.
against
Yeah.
Sunderland. And it was booed almost throughout that game. Once that red card, and it didn't get to his head, so I thought he had a good shout. In the on the central defense, Fofana, strong showing from Chelsea that day, despite the fact that the team was one man down. And Senesi, Bournemouth, I think they kept a clean sheet against Newcastle. On the left, Michel, the Crystal Palace guy. In the midfield, we already spoke about Gravenberg and Stark. I think you mentioned him as one of the standout players for the weekend. Iwobi, I thought Iwobi was outstanding. Best game I've seen him play in a while. And I was saying, why don't you play like this for the Super
In his
Eagles? But
life.
again, that's a different conversation altogether.
Yeah.
Then on the other side of the midfield, Bernardo Silva, even though he should have gotten that second yellow card. And then Doku. I thought Doku was impressive. I thought
I think that was
Doku was
excellent.
impressive against Arsenal. I always say Doku doesn't, his decision making is poor. He would dribble, dribble, dribble. You don't see anything, but on that day, I think it was exceptional. And then as a striker, Incido, the Sunderland striker.
Sunderland
So
striker.
that's the team of the week. We also put Marco Silva as the coach. Any omissions or inclusions that shouldn't have been there?
I would argue with you because my cash scored the same goal for Aston Villa this season,
Yes,
so I won't argue with you.
yes,
I,
yes.
So I'll leave
I
it.
think Haaland
But
should
I
be on
think,
the list.
honestly speaking, I think James Reese did really well at right back.
Yeah.
I think so. I think he really did. And when we're looking at Matty Cash as well with that long range goal, that Martinelli's goal was
Sweet.
world
Was quite
class.
good. Was quite good.
Very
It was
Was
a
sweet.
quite good.
fantastic goal.
But
It
we
was a
have to say
fantastic goal.
that
And he came off the bench 10 minutes.
Donnarumma gave him that opening. I don't think it should have been. If you're not going to come to the ball and get to the ball like Sanchez did or made an attempt, I think you should stay more. You should stay in your goal. He came out. He was caught in no man's land.
But this is
He
really
was caught in no man's
the
land. But
defender.
Martinelli was brilliant to take the ball the way he took it. Yeah.
Do you know what I was? Right?
It was
Donnarumma being the best keeper in the world. Anytime we play against Donnarumma, he's the man of the match. Even that match, I don't care what happened. Donnarumma was the man of the match. Go and check how many saves. Almost 350,000 saves in that match against us. Yeah. When we played PSG twice, he was the man of the match. Only him was man of the match. So I feel like what he did there was psychological. Like, I dare you, because there's no from that position. If you watch the play and you watch from all the angles, it's a half chance at best. If Martinelli took a shot, if it wasn't a lob, it was half chance. So I dare you to lob. I'll dare you to lob. Like, you're not even good enough. And then what do you know? Pull the cat out of the, not even a rabbit, a cat out of the hat. So yeah, I feel like it could go both ways, because sometimes when keeper come out like that and go back, they confuse the striker as well and force them to make a mistake.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
All right,
Haaland
cool.
should be on that list, definitely, because he had an amazing
what I
time
saw-
against his seniors.
Yeah, no. What I saw with Alan that day was another dimension to his game that I didn't see before. The way he made that pass and he took off. He left Gabriel for dead. Like
And
it was
like,
not even a. I was like, what? What is this? He
I
took
saw
off.
smoke from his exhaust pipe.
Haaland is just a finisher.
He took off and he watched his run because he could have easily straight offside as well before that
Absolutely.
ball went to him. He took off, he watched his run, he got perfect timing, and he took that ball once. and it was. I mean, it was a brilliant. It was
One
a
time.
brilliant goal.
Yeah, he
All
had a
round
few
striker.
shots
No
on
guy
target
about it.
too. I think he had like three shots on target, right? One other time it was clear on goal. But he didn't, I think that one was shot through at the keeper. But the point was, if you look at the last three games against Saliba and Gabriel, I don't think Haaland got more than one chance in those three games. This one game, he got about three chances, which for me, it just changed something about his game. It totally stayed away from getting into all these unnecessary tussles with them. He focused on the game. He wasn't talking to them, like naturally you see them talking back at each other and
Because of what happened the last time. What happened the last time where and then you now beat them 5-1.
So he kept his cool and focused. It's maturity as well. It's maturing.
I mean, one last thing I'll say about that game and is that I'm beginning to notice a crack in that heart of the defense for Arsenal. The last two seasons, those two guys, Gabriel and the French guy, what's his name again? And
Saliba.
it was been like impenetrable. Like you cannot find a crack between those guys. I think the cracks are opening now. I don't know from where, but I think that strikers will get joy playing against those guys this season. Well, you can write it down.
Why is it like Ferdinand and Vidic?
Or
Yeah.
Ricky
and
Terry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Look, Saliba is not as good as most people think. Konate can't get into the French national team because of Konate. So I want people to watch closely. I've been trying to say this to Arsenal fans. He's cool, calm, and collected on the ball. He can read the game very well. When Saliba makes a mistake, always fatal. He doesn't make small mistakes that are of no consequence. He makes serious mistakes. Unfortunately for him, there is a backup to his backup now. There's Mosquera. He hasn't done anything wrong since he came to Arsenal.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten the chance to see in Chapier. So in case Gabriel decides that he wants to get injured, those boys are starters. They'll walk into any club right now in the Premier League and start. So I have confidence that defensively we're good. We just need that creativity. We score goals, we just don't create enough chances. I don't think scoring goals is the problem. We don't create enough chances. So I feel like if we concede 4, we can score 6 on a good day. Yeah, if once Eze settles into number 10 role.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I like the confidence from a national fan. Who would have expected it? Who would have expected any less? Exactly.
Thank you, Jerry.
You wouldn't expect any less.
Thank you, my people.
Yeah. But let's close it out. I think the last thing we have here is, we have to always talk about the managers whose job are in peril right now. And I think there are 2 of them right now that I'm watching very closely. Victor Pereira at Wolves, who is 0-0-5 after 5 games. And Graham Potter at West Ham, who is 0-4. Who is going to go? Who is going first between the 2 of them?
I think we have to go from the perspective of the club. Which club is more ruthless? In the past, one more ruthless. And I want to.
Which club has the funds to sack a manager now?
West Ham.
Sukkie, I think it's more of which club can afford to sack any manager right now. So I think it's about funds right now. That's what I think. Oh yeah, they both want to sack those managers yesterday, but the financial implication, who's ready to spend that much money to?
But at some point you're going to say, do I cough it out now, or I risk relegation and I lose everything that I get in the Premier League? So so we'll be on the watch out for that and see who actually goes first. But it's been a fantastic conversation today. I mean, who will not enjoy an Arsenal fan bantering with them? So
Sorry, please, can you tell us why you're wearing this particular
This one. See, this one is from the golden era. I know that if you guys see this, you would panic straight away and just stay in your lane. You will behave yourself.
Remind us of when Arsenal was still
and you've done exactly
right?
what I expected. Yeah, so man, it's been nice. Thanks for having me.
It was
Yeah, thanks a lot. Guys, if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you click
Yeah.
on that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of our content when it comes out. But it's been a fantastic conversation. Suki, thanks as always. Shion, thanks for bringing a lot of good perspective on this. I'm sure we'll call you back again. It's a long season. There's so many.
Very
We'll do
long,
so
yes.
many of this. So yeah,
I'm
we'll call you
game.
back again. Thanks again
Yeah,
for coming in.
thank you very much. Shout out to Gyökeres, the best striker in the world. I'm out.
Thank you. We couldn't get to the Ballon d'Or discussion today, but next time we'll keep it for next time. All right, guys. Take
Nice
care.
one,
Thanks
guys.
a lot.
Thank you.